So I'm going to apply the doctrine of double effect to two very interesting cases. One is the case of hysterectomy, the other of craniotomy. I'll explain both of those in a sec. It's a very interesting example because the stakes are very similar and the consequences are very similar, yet the doctrine of double effect will rule differently. It will come up with different results for each case. And these examples come from a book called Moral Theory by Mark Timmins. It's a very interesting example, which is why I'm going to use it. And it will puzzle us slightly, I think, in terms of the results that the doctrine of double effect comes out with. So let's start off with the case of the hysterectomy, which is the removal of the uterus. So in this case, a woman has cancer of the uterus, and she's pregnant. Now, the only way to save the woman's life is with a hysterectomy in which the uterus is removed. And obviously that will cause the death of the fetus. But it's important to note that, of course, if the hysterectomy is not performed, the fetus will die anyway, along with the woman. The fetus will die when the woman dies. Now, is the hysterectomy morally permissible, according to the doctrine of double effect? Well, first we have to see if this case of hysterectomy passes the criteria of the doctrine. So firstly, the operation itself is not morally wrong because the operation is just the removal of cancerous tissue in the uterus. And it's not morally wrong to remove cancerous tissue or a uterus if there is, good reason for it. So, so far so good. Second, it is not the intention of the physician to kill the fetus, right? The intention is to save the woman's life. That's what the intention is. That's their reason for performing the hysterectomy. They're trying to save the woman's life. The fetus's death, therefore, was an unintended effect of the operation. And also the bad effect is not the means for bringing about the good effect. That is to say, that not causing the death of the fetus is a means to save the woman's life. Right? She would have the operation even if she wasn't pregnant. So, and finally, since there was no other way that we could save the woman's life while also keeping the fetus alive, the operation satisfies the proportionality clause. So it seems to tick all the boxes there. So according to the doctrine of double effect, that the criteria has been satisfied and the hysterectomy is morally permissible according to natural law theory. But here's the thing, let's consider this case of craniotomy. This is a rather unpleasant example, but let's go with it. So what happens here is there are rare cases in which a pregnant woman with a heart condition will die unless the fetus is aborted. In such cases, a craniotomy has to be performed, and that involves crushing the skull of the fetus so that it can be removed from the womb. I said it was an unpleasant example. So what did the doctrine of double effect say about that? Well, it does seem very similar, first of all, to the first case. The problem here, however, though, is that this time our intention is to kill the fetus, right? We are intending to do that. We are deliberately killing the fetus in order to save the woman's life. So in the first case, the hysterectomy case, it was just our intention to remove a uterus. In this case, we are actually intending on killing the fetus and removing it. The fetus's death is not an unintended side effect. The whole point of the operation in the craniotomy case is to kill the fetus. That is why we're doing it. So therefore, in this case, we intend the bad effect. Because we intend the bad effect, this case cannot be sanctioned by the doctrine of double effect. The doctrine of double effect says that no, this is bad, this is not allowed. But here's the puzzling bit, because this will strike us as very odd, because in both cases we have a situation where a woman's going to die unless the fetus is killed. And the only way to save her is to do an operation that will end up with the fetus dying. And we also need to point out, the fetus is going to die anyway. If we don't do anything, if we just sit back and let this happen, the fetus is going to die anyway because the woman's going to die. And yet, natural law theory only permits conducting the operation in the first case and not in the second. So this may give us reason to think that there might be something wrong here, right? Because if we go by this, we're just going to let a woman die. Whereas in a very similar case, we would actually do an operation that would cause the fetus to die and save the woman's life. That seems very odd. So how could a defender of the doctrine respond to this? Well, they could respond by just insisting, no, this does give us the right answer. This is what we're supposed to do. You know, these are difficult cases. It is not intuitive what is the right and wrong answer here. The doctrine, with its criteria, gives a way of figuring out what is the right answer in these cases. And they may emphasize, of course, that intention is morally significant. That is the significant thing. Yes, the consequences are the same. Yes, you know, the issues are very similar. But it is the intention that is the morally significant thing. You know, if I hit you in the face, the physical pain that you feel as a consequence of me hitting you in the face is the same whether I do it on purpose or by accident. Assuming, of course, that the force of the punch is the same. You know, and we would say that clearly if I hit you by accident, you know, as opposed to hitting you in the face, if I hit you on purpose, that's clearly worse than doing it by accident, even if the pain is the same. So the intention really does make a difference to moral action. So they may dig their heels in and say, no, this is the right answer. Interestingly, there's another road they could go down with these cases, and they could say that actually the craniotomy case, it is morally justified according to the doctrine of double effect, just like the hysterectomy case. Actually, they're the same. And this is because it is not the intention of the physician to kill the fetus, because, strictly speaking, all the physician intends to do is alter the shape of the fetus's skull. Therefore, the death of the fetus, that is surely foreseen, but it's not their intention to kill the fetus. Their intention is just to crush its skull, right? And this is not too different from killing the fetus by removing the uterus, right? You know, clearly the fetus is going to die in both cases. We can foresee that removing the uterus is going to kill the fetus. We can foresee that crushing its skull is going to kill the fetus. But there is no intention to kill the fetus in either case. Our intention in the first case is to remove the uterus. Intention in the second case, crush a skull. However, in response, we may wonder if it is really the case that one can crush someone's skull and at the same time not intend for them to die.